And to give you a preview for this month, I know I sent it out in previous things, but every week I'll talk about it. Today we're going to specifically talk about explaining deductibles, max out of pocket, and how that works with families. I'm going to kind of show you some stuff on Health Sherpa. Next week, we're going to talk about those pesky documents, those income requests, kind of what they mean, how to expect to get around them, which ones you could push off, which ones you just can't push off, and what to do when the document's never accepted. I've had that 2 years, never accepted, but nothing happened. So I'll talk about that. We're going to talk about how to handle income input for married on paper, but separated in reality. Is divorced or are they legally married? That whole topic that constantly I see that one brought up over and over and over again. I'm going to show you right on Health Sherpa, or right on CMS, what it says. It's not as complicated as I think people make it to be. So we're going to talk about that. On June 22nd, we're going to have a guest speaker. I'm really excited. This is the Health Sherpa versus the Insura enrollment platforms. They both have pros and cons. And I think it's a bit of personal experience. I don't think there's any reason not to have both, but I am not an expert on that. And so I am bringing somebody who's much more of an expert than me about it. I'm really excited about that one. He's our first guest speaker. June 29th, we'll talk about entering kids. Kids can be complicated when they're in different counties, different states. They live in 2 different households, and one's a tax dependent and one's not. So that's the June 29th that we'll be talking about there. And then we'll talk about July later, but I already have a guest speaker in July. And so we're going to try and make this really as dynamic and on topic of what is important for ACA. So some of this you'll be able to use for other things, but it's really about ACA. And then August, we'll do some more. And then September and October is when we'll really talk about open enrollment things. Like, how do you handle open enrollment? How do you change this? How do you talk to them about their income? That sort of thing. So really, if you have a lot of questions about open enrollment, that we're going to really focus in September and October. So if you have a topic, I do have empty spots. It's not like I know everything. If you have a topic that you're interested in, just send me an email. Let me know, because I want to answer questions you have. If I don't know the answer, I am really happy to bring in guest speakers. And I'm trying to build, the whole point of this is to build a community. I'm not the only person. You guys have done a lot of things that maybe I've run into things that maybe I haven't. So I want this to be a community of ACA people, because I just love ACA. So, all right. Looks like we're at 4 minutes past, and I'll just admit people as they show up. Let me share my screen. All right, so I'm just on Health Sherpa. It's not it's not really important who is the zip code or anything like that. So don't get hung up on, dollar amounts and costs. We're more just talking about generalizations of Health Sherpa and the deductible. And then I'm going to show you a couple other things. So I just did zip code up here in Wisconsin. I put a married couple age 60 and 55. Decided to do something a little different. And then they have an 18-year-old. So we've got a family of 3. And Health Sherpa is going to pull up this non-eligible, right? The female's 18. She may be eligible for CHIP. This is one of the most brilliant things Health Sherpa did by adding this, so that you can say, well, I know they're not going to be eligible. They've either been denied, they've already gotten that, maybe they're getting kicked off and they've already gotten that letter, or your state and you're like, no, they're not going to. So we can now click that button. So then it's going to show you the true tax credit. In the old days, I used to kind of estimate, and then I'd say, well, it'll be less. If you can afford what I'm showing you right now, then you'll be fine, because when I add a third person, it'll be less. So that is great. If you know the person's not going to be on CHIP and not going to go into the Medicaid system, just skip that step. Make sure you click that. So you're looking at this, and I'm just going to throw some random ones out there. Don't get too hung up on plans, but I want to show you the difference of some stuff. That's one bit. All right, so then we've got 4 plans. You can certainly do 3. As you can see, the cost is all the same. So again, don't worry about that. A question came to me that said, it's $7,500 per person on the deductible and max out of pocket's $9,100. Okay, what does that mean? So it's $7,500 per person. And so that one person in the family will not pay more than $7,500. But the family is going to pay that times 2. So you take, all right, 7,500 times 2. Well, that's $15,000 that family could be liable. If all 3 of them were in a car accident, they'd be paying $15,000. It's not $7,500 for all 3 of them. It's only times 2. There are some exceptions to the plan, so you have to dig into them, whether they're embedded or not. Most of the plans have gotten rid of it where it was the family deductible was actually had to be met. If you're not sure, you click on the details of this plan, right? And it says 7,500 per person, 15,000 per family. Out of pocket, one person is not going to pay more than 9,100. So one person, even if their bill's $1 million, isn't going to pay more than 9,000. The family times 2 isn't going to pay more than 18,200. But if you have 3 people, it's all being totaled up to 18,200. So if one person reaches this max out of pocket, fine, that you got a sick person, but the other 2 both have like $4,000 or $5,000 a piece, well, they're not going to have another 9,000. It's 18,200. Too many of your clients are going to get hung up on this. They're going to see this deductible, and that's what they're more worried about. They're like, oh, that deductible is so high. In my opinion, the deductible is not what's important. It's the max out of pocket. They need to understand their worst case scenario isn't this deductible of $6,000, it's the $9,100. So some of them will go, well, what's a lower deductible? So they want you to look at those silver plans. Well, in my area, the silver plans are not particularly great. Well, this is a CSR. I'm going to add the info up a little bit more so it's not a CSR. Oh, my cap box is up. Trying to figure out why I went type of 1. There we go. So they're not getting a CSR. So when they go into the silver plan, they're thinking, oh, well, this is a bronze. Show me a silver plan with a lower max or lower deductible. Well, okay, so this deductible is 5,000 versus down here we had a 7,500, but the max out of pocket's exactly the same. It's 9,100. Why would you spend extra money to save yourself $2,000? That doesn't make any sense. Even if I go to the lowest deductible in my area, they do have a silver for 0. Well, I have a bronze with 0. So people get hung up on this deductible. What they're really looking for is somebody that says that. They're really kind of looking for the gold. They don't necessarily know deductible versus max out of pocket. So they're like, well, I want the lowest max out of pocket. They really want to know what's the least they're going to spend. So then you can show them a gold. Well, here you go. I've got one, 3,000. That's your max out of pocket. Don't let them distract you by always worrying about the deductible. Max out of pocket's more important. Most people do not know what the max out of pocket is. They come in from their employer plan. They all know what their deductible is. It's kind of crazy. What's your deductible? Oh, it's 5,000. It's 3,000. It's 1,500. What's your max out of pocket? I don't think I have one. Like, they really don't know, which is good. That means they haven't maxed out. They haven't had that issue where they've had to max it out, but they all know their deductible. So make sure they know their max out of pocket is really the number to look at. Because if they don't realize that 9,175, 9,000 is what can happen, that's when they're shocked. That's when they go to the doctor, they have surgery, and 9,000 is what they're going to pay. And they're worried about the deductible. I'm like, if you have surgery, you end up in the hospital, it doesn't matter what the deductible is. One night in the hospital is 25,000, you're going to pay 9,000, right? If you have 2 people in the hospital, you're going to pay 18. I had a man hit a heart attack December 25th. He was still in the hospital January 5th. He hit 2 max out of pockets in 2 weeks because he hit 1 for each year. So they need to understand the max out of pocket. And if you're not fully understanding it, it's hard for you to explain it. There's lots of explanations out there, but each person needs to know that's the most they can spend. And times two if they're married, or have more than one person on the plan. You can get into some of the details about, what the deductible, 50% after deductible. Well, here's the deductible. Does that make sense? We go into great detail in my office with my clients. They all have questions, and we'll go into great details comparing side by side. Here's the deductible before it's met, after it's met. Well, what does that mean? It just means it's a copay. Oh, okay. Full price. Well, it's full price until you reach the deductible, then it's 50%. You can get into that part, but once they understand what the deductible versus max out of pocket means, now they can make a decision. That's when you can protect them, because they're going to say, especially if they're healthy, they're going to go, wow, $15,000. I don't have $15,000. All right, we have protection for you for that. And I don't know if you saw the numbers, the new max out of pocket for next year, it's going up. It's just going up, 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 up. I think in the next 2.5, 3 years, we're probably going to have a $10,000 max out of pocket per person. It's absolutely crazy. There's just like no end in sight. I believe it's 9,450 for next year. I don't know about you. I don't have $9,450 laying around if I end up going into the hospital because my appendix burst or I have gallstones. I mean, people are not going to the doctor because they have these max out of pockets, which sometimes means they're going to end up more in the max out of pocket because they wait. 9,400. It's just going up. It's crazy. So this is why you want to protect your people. This is why when we talk about layering, this is what we're talking about. If somebody has a stroke, they've reached their max out of pocket. They have a heart attack, they're max out of pocket, plus all the stuff that comes afterwards. And if it's at the end of the year, maybe they're going to reach it twice. So when I talk about layering, this is why. And yes, Mindy, HSAs are great. They can have a lower max out of pocket. That was this one right here. It's a common ground HSA bronze. So they're out of pocket 7,500. And the silvers can be 3,000. They can adjust that. But people go to the doctor and they're like, why did I get a bill for $300 at my primary doctor? I'm used to paying $60 or $80. If they understand HSAs, they're brilliant. I love HSAs and I love layering them with GAP. It's one of my favorite ones, is GAP insurance, because it's going to pay the bill if they end up in the hospital. It's going to pay 50%. If somebody's self-employed, I'm self-employed, I'm healthy. Hey, HSAs are brilliant. You can put money away. And yes, we are going to talk about HSAs in a future one, because I know HSAs are kind of that, what does that mean? I use different types of gap insurance. I use United Healthcare, I use PALIC, and then I've just seen a new one by Enrollment First in certain states. That's a guaranteed issue one. That's quite interesting that I'm delving into. So there are different options. And some people will say accident for gap. You have somebody who walks in and they're mountain biking. I had a couple retired, and that's what they were going to do. They were going up into the mountains to go biking. And I'm like, you need an accident policy. This was before the Surprise Billing Act was passed. I'm like, if you get airlifted, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. Critical illness can be a gap. Does it run in your family? Yes. So anything that's filling the gap between zero, when they don't pay anything, and the 7,500, which then again, they pay nothing. So you can email me directly if you want. North American Life has contracts with all of the different gap policies. I have learned every agent kind of finds the one that speaks to them, the one that they like. I work with one carrier, have an amazing experience. Somebody else works with it and they're like, oh my goodness, they're horrible, and vice versa, right? I've got some people who love one carrier and I'm like, I can't stand them. I have nothing but problems. So you can certainly get your experience, and this is how you're going to learn. You tell your client, this is what I have, this is what I expect it to be. And sometimes you find out it wasn't what you thought it would be. That's okay. I don't know if I've ever had a client mad at me because a carrier didn't do what they said they would do or what they implied they would do, they typically are mad at the carrier because we're just educating, we're just trying to protect them. So don't ever not offer options because you're worried about what if the carrier doesn't do it? Are they going to be mad at me? I honestly, and I've sold thousands, I've never had somebody mad at me. I've had them upset. I've had them frustrated. Absolutely. I've had people who went into the hospital for observation and they didn't get the thing that was supposed to pay if they were admitted because they weren't admitted. And I was so frustrated for them, but they weren't mad at me. You know, they were frustrated that it didn't work the way they thought it was going to work. And then they were really mad at the hospital who refused to admit them, even though he was there for 2 days. So, you know, don't ever let the fear be the reason not to offer these things. They don't know what their options are. You know, we have a guy that came in, he's thinking of retiring in January. Okay. And we showed him, here's your insurance. And then here's these layers, gap, accident, critical illness. And he was like, can I buy that right now? Can I get that for my group insurance? Absolutely. Let's get it in now. People don't know about those layers. And I know about them, but I've been doing this for a long time. As I mentioned last week, every time I have done a seminar and I say, this is your plan, here's how you can layer it. Every time somebody goes, how come my agent didn't tell me? Why didn't my agent tell me this? And I don't know why your agent, maybe they didn't know about this product. Maybe they, you know, they're just selling ACA. That's why, as I said last week, if you are in the no call enrollment, if you're in that group, this is not for you. I'm a heart-centered agent and my heart wants to protect my clients. And if that's you, don't be afraid to layer. Don't be afraid to show it. I love it. Behind Mindy, you have all those different layers that your digital background. I mean, that they don't know that they don't, what they don't know. And they may not even know. They're like telemedicine. They may not even know what that means. They're just like, okay. People don't ask. One of the things in sales that I found very weird and interesting about people, because I'm a person who just asks, is people are waiting for you to ask for the sale. And I'm like, wait, what? You know, you show them all the options, but if you never say, does that sound good? Go forward with all of these things. They're not necessarily going to go, let's do all of those things. So you show them, here's your options, and then just say, are we good with this? It's great. Reading suggestions over here. If you find a plan with a great max out of pocket, then try putting people in a plan in that plan, so long as it fits their needs. Yeah, see, and that's, you can do that. I have like 6 people in a gold plan because the gold doesn't make sense for most people. We do have a very nice gold plan, 3,000 max out of pocket. But when I start comparing the price, I don't know, do you guys want to see how I compare price right here? How on the Health Sherpa, I can show you exactly what I talk to. And again, it's just the way I do it. You don't have to do it the way I do, but I'm going to show you. Okay, a couple people said yes. So I'm going to show you. So I'm going to, same couple. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Ignore me moving fast. So I'm just going to pull up somebody who tells me that they're in Aurora and it's what they want. So I typically show a bronze, a silver, and a gold. So and now, if you want to be the best, you have to know your plans. The last week of October, just tell all of your friends, family, I'm sorry, but I'm busy. Don't you, as soon as we have these plans, you have to be in them. You have to be in them, looking them. You need to be running plans. That's why I talk about being your local expert. Somebody asked me about a plan in Florida. I have no idea. I'd much rather give that to a Florida person. If somebody has one in Ohio, I just made a new state, Idaho and Ohio, I don't know those plans. Now, I will help somebody who's new, who's moving to that area, because I know how insurance works and they don't have a carrier and all that stuff. But I'm not ever going to claim to be an expert in a state I'm not in. I know my area inside out, backwards, forwards. And so I spend that last week in October very much digging in. So here's my bronze, my silver, my gold. And somebody's like, wow, that 3,000 out of pocket. I kind of like it. Now, typically I have only 2 people on a plan, but I will pull out a calendar or a calculator and I go, all right, $849.12 for that bronze times 12 will cost you $10,189. If we do the gold, it's going to cost you $20,905. That's just the premium, whether you use it or not. Is it makes sense for a healthy person to pay an extra $10,000 because they might use it? That makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely not. I'm not, now, if somebody says, no, I want that, okay, I'm not going to tell them they can't have it, but I show them the math. Does it make sense for them to have an extra 10,000 that they may or may not use? Healthy person. I would much rather put them in the bronze, get them a gap policy for $100, accident for $35, and critical illness for 40. I can put all of that. I can even show them life insurance, and it's going to be cheaper than the silver. Okay, much cheaper than the gold and covers them better. Now, if somebody is super sick, maybe there's 2 people, they're super sick, they reach their max out of pocket all the time. Well, then I go, well, then yeah, because now $20,000, if they were going to reach this 9,100 times 2, well, yeah, they're going to save money in the gold because their max out of pocket's only 6,000. So if I add 6,000 on top of that 20,000, they're only paying $26,000. Worst case scenario for the family. But on the other plan, if I take that bronze plan, they're paying 28. That's the math. So I did this premium times 12 and then added this times 2. They're saving a little bit. Over here, they're going to pay 3,000. It's an HSA. I mean, they're paying the whole 3,000 before it kicks in. They might save. Now, there are people who just want to pay a higher premium and they don't want to think about it. They want to get there. Okay. But I just don't sell. And I have gold plans that have the exact same max out of pocket as 9,100. Why would I sell a gold plan with that high of a max out of pocket? Now, if you have a $0 deductible plan, they are becoming more and more popular. I love these plans, but they are not all created equal. So look at the summary of benefits. If some of you if you have Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield that has one, I would look at it. The difference, and just so you know, Blue Crosses are franchises. So a Blue Cross in Wisconsin is not the same in Texas or Florida or anywhere else. But look at the summary of benefits of a $0. Well, I have to get to bronze. So we sell the $0 deductible plans like, oh, maybe they don't have one. Oh, I think it's Quartz. We don't sell Anthem very often. It's really expensive. Oh, that's why. Lowest deductible. I find it quickly. So right here, Anthem. So now this is the one that we sell the most. This is Common Ground. This is the network that's in our area. If you look down here and you see copay, all right, this is just a copay plan. But then you see RX deductible and co-insurance. All right, there is a deductible. This particular one has a drug deductible of $2,250 for those tier 3 and 4 meds. And then they would pay 50% of that prescription until they reach the max out of pocket. But copay, all right. Emergency room, $1,800 copay. Oh, emergency medical transportation, deductible. Oh, well, there is no deductible. Remember, this is $0. Oh. So it's just 50% co-insurance. That means you're going to reach that bill faster than a copay. Here is another one, the surgeon's fee, physician and surgeon's fee. It says deductible. There is no deductible, it's $0. They're going to pay 50% of the surgeon's fee. So while an inpatient services is $1,500 a day, okay, So it can add up, but they're probably not going to reach the 9,100. Now, in services, mental health, it says 15 per day. If they only go 2 days, it's a $3,000 bill. That's pretty awesome. If a traditional plan with a deductible and a max out of pocket, they spend 1 day, they're going to reach their max out of pocket. 1 day of inpatient, whether it's at a hospital or mental, is going to be the max out of pocket. So I sell this bronze plan all the time. But when I look at Anthem Blue Cross's, oh, it's down here. Anthem Blue Cross's bronze plan, they have a lot of 50% coinsurance. 50% coinsurance for a lot of things. $3,000 for admission, then 50% coinsurance. This $0 plan isn't a $0 plan. Office visits when you're pregnant, 50% coinsurance. Childbirth, 50% coinsurance. Well, you're going to spend 2 days at the hospital. You're going to pay the max out of pocket. 50% coinsurance for all of these things. So it's not truly a $0 plan, in my opinion. 50% of the whole bill is, I'd rather you had an HSA, right? An HSA where that max out of pocket's less, and you're just, you're going to get there faster with less out of pocket. So make sure you look at those summary of benefits. And I see that we have a lot of questions, so or comments. Yep, ×4, you take the max out of the deductible or what your premiums are, and then add the max out of pocket. And then they see that. That's when I'm like, wow, they just, they don't understand that. But people need to see the math. I pull the calculator. I have I don't use my phone or a small calculator. I put it on the screen so my client can see the math. And do I have a document template that you put all the information on that I send to a client? I do. We have a document that we send out that shows the marketplace information. I can show you. Only got a couple minutes left, but we have documents for everything. We have documents. Most of my people come to me. They all leave with a folder. This is their medical folder, and it has all the information they need in here, and they all get a letter that says who we are, my assistant. We mail these to everybody when they do it online, because people forget. This is a lot. People are just, they don't even think about it. So I'll show you quickly my documents. We have a plan summary listed in here for everybody that we sell. And so if somebody gets a Aspirus or Anthem plan, we pull it up and we print off the summary of benefits so they can see it. They don't have to go searching on the website, because some carriers' websites are better than others. We give them, we call these marketplace documents. So here's one that it's a generalized one. Can everybody see that? Make it a little smaller, but we have the name of the person, the health insurance marketplace information. We tell them thanks for calling, and then we put the application ID, we put the estimated household income, the tax credit, the insurance company they are with, the premium they're going to pay, the customer service number, member number. 90% of the time we leave blank. The date the premium is due. If they pay it, I write NA paid, and I put the date they pay it. Policy effective date, if it's requesting documents, the date those documents are due, and then if they paid the first month's premium or set up auto pay with me. And then we've got this, which you should please don't ever tell your people to call the marketplace. Never, never, never. They will always mess it up. Have them call you. You want to be the one that they ask for help. And if you don't know the answer, you can find it much easier than your carrier. So please, please do not send them to healthcare.gov. I tell them to ignore all the emails from healthcare.gov. I talk to them about Health Sherpa and premium payments. Again, I can share this with you if you would like. I can't do it right now because all my stuff's on there. But if you would like to have that, send me an email. and I can send it to you. I'll take off my logo and stuff. But yes, now when you know your area, I've got an area that one plan, their gold is better than their silver. I don't know why. Okay, there are places in Texas, absolutely. Learn your area, because your area is going to be unique to you. And we get a lot of those questions, as many of you are part of the Marketplace Mastery group, that's just like has this really strange question for, what's better? It seriously depends on your county. It depends on your carriers. I have carriers that make their gold better than the silver, and I'm like, what? We rarely sell silver. I sell silver if CSRs, and I sell silver if somebody goes to the doctor a lot, but doesn't have a lot of, like, they just see a specialist continually, so that they want a cheaper copay. All right, I might sell a silver. Learn your area. Learn those plans inside out, backwards, forwards. I hope this was helpful. Kind of went through quick, again, I'm trying to make these through half days, but this is going to be one of those, if you want a deep dive, we've got North American life plans. I'm an upline if you want to do that. There are those options. I know you have some FMOs that you work with, that's who they should be helping you with this for details. I'm happy to share with whatever I can. I will put my email. If you don't have it, you should if you got the invite, but I put my email in the waiting room, sorry, we did go to the waiting room. Everybody, there we go. Into the chat. If you want that document, you can. I'm going to send these out every week to everybody who's been here and everybody who gave me their thing, the recording, so you can re-go through this, because I know I kind of go fast. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Thanks, guys. I'm really happy to share this with you. I want you all to be amazing local agents. Again, any questions, let me know. If there's any documents I previously showed in other ones or this one, shoot me an email. The rest of you have a wonderful day, and talk to you next Thursday. Welcome to summer, and we got 3 months to enjoy the summer and then start wrapping up for open enrollment.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Again, I'll send the email out to everybody with the recording.